Welcome to Avigna Classes. Avigna Classes presents previous year question solution and discussion. So today we are going to discuss about Civil Service Examination Mains Paper 2019 and we will discuss questions on Soil Mechanics Part 1 presented by me Harsh Mahajan. So what will the objective for this session will be to discuss some of the problems from UPSC Civil Services Mains exam. So what happened that UPSC conduct 3 exams per year, and in that 3 exams civil is one of the subject to subject that the candidate can attend. So one is engineering services, then second is civil service, and third is forest service examination. In each paper you will see 20 to 40 questions. So at least 40 questions are there. Now if you see, then 120 question you can solve from 1 year, and if you take let's say 10-year question, then you can understand that you have the question bank. Then you can also you can absolutely define the syllabus of the various examinations, and this kind of repeated questions can help you in the mains examination, and that's why we are going to discuss about it. So without any delay, let's discuss problem number 1. 1 meter cube moist soil, 20 kilonewton weight. Okay. Water content is 10%. Specific gravity Gs is equals to 2.7. Now you have to fill on this information. Okay. So this is like block diagram, or what we say three-phase diagram, because soil is a three-phase system. It is consist of solids, and in between solids there are voids. Voids are filled with air and water. Okay, so this kind of examples are very easy to do but very conceptual. If you can understand the concept, then you can definitely clear in other subjective examination as well as in objective examinations. Solution. First of all, let us see what is this means. That 1 meter cube of soil sample is weighing 20 kilonewton. That means we are getting the unit weight. Unit weight is what? Weight divided by volume. So there is one concept known as the density or mass density, which is equals to mass upon volume. But unit weight is the weight upon volume, and it is 20 kilonewton per meter cube. Then second, water content is given 10%. GS is given 2.7. Then gamma W, unit weight of water, means 1 meter cube of water weighs 9.81 kilonewton, and we have to determine these all, and void ratio and degree of saturation. Let us see how to do it. Now total weight is equals to weight of water plus weight of solid. Okay, so what happened in that three phase diagram we have seen, we have air, we have water, and we have solids. Solids means solids material of the soil grains particle. Now solid and the water is having some weight. Air do not have any weight. Okay, but air have the volume. So remember, air have no weight but volume. That's why if I can say total weight of a soil sample, then it will be consisting of weight of water plus weight of solid, and it is equals to 20 kilonewton. Now what is the definition of water content? It is the ratio of weight of water to weight of solid, which is 10%. Okay, so I am going to write the same equation. W is equals to weight of water divided by the weight of solid, which means that weight of water is 0.1 of what weight of solid. Now inputting in this equation, and I am getting weight of solid equals to 18.18 kilonewton. You can check for the calculations. It is very easy. 20 divided by 1.1, so 18.18 kilonewton is the weight of solid, and remaining will be the weight of water. Now volume of solids. Now solids have the volume also. Yes. What we can say, that unit weight of solids. Okay, we are considering only the solid part of the soil. Then again it is like, okay, weight of solid divided by volume of solid, and again it is given that Gs, which is a specific gravity for solids only, which is equals to Gs. Now what is the definition of Gs will be? specific gravity of any material is equals to unit weight of that material divided by unit weight of water. So it is like a ratio, relative density or specific gravity. So from here I can deduce that gamma S, which is the unit weight of the solid, is equals to Gs gamma W. Now both equations you have to just input it like that. So Gs gamma W is equals to weight of solid divided by volume of solid. Then 2.7 into 9.81 kilonewton per meter cube, and Ws is also given in kilonewton. So kilonewton will cancel and meter cube will be remaining, and this will be the volume of solid. Remember here that unit should be consistent. You cannot go like inputting unit weight of water in Newton per meter cube and here weight is in kilonewton. Okay, you have to see whether units are consistent. Use consistent units only. Okay, once you get the volume of solid, okay, so from 1 meter cube of soil sample, this much volume is of the solid. Now what will be the remaining? Okay, so if like these are the grains of the soil, okay, so there will be some void, so the remaining volume will be of volume of void. Volume of void is equals to total volume minus volume of solids. It's come around 3.314 meter cube. Now this volume of voids will be filled up with air and water. So let us see in the next slide. Okay, so volume of voids we are getting 0.314 meter cube. Now volume of water, how you gonna calculate it? Okay, we know that gamma W, which is 9.81 kilonewton per meter cube, is the unit weight of water, which is equals to weight of water divided by volume of water. Now we know the weight of water here. From our previous slide, we know that weight of water is 1.82 kilonewton and divided by the unit weight will give you the weight volume of water. So we are also getting 0.186 volume of water. Now volume of void is consist of air and water. We know the volume of water, then the remaining will be the volume of air, and it is coming around. So volume of air is equals to volume of void minus volume of water, which is coming around 0.128 meter cube. Now void ratio. So by definition, void ratio is the ratio of volume of voids to volume of solids. Now we know the volume of solids and we know the volume of void. Okay, from here you can easily calculate the void ratio. Then degree of saturation by definition is the ratio of volume of water to volume of void. Okay, so we know the volume of water 0.816, then we know that volume of void is 0.314. So 0.592 means 59.2% is our degree of saturation. So this is all about this question. Okay, but at last you have to give this figure also. So you see this is the three-phase diagram: solids, water and air. Now air do not have any weight, but weight of water is 1.82 and weight of solid is 18.18, which is a total of 20 kilonewton. So this is like WT, weight of total soil, which is 20 kilonewton. Now this whole volume is given 1 meter cube, so total volume will be 1 meter cube. From that, volume of solid is 0.686 and volume of void is 0.314. From that volume of void, air is in 0.128 meter cube volume and water is in 0.186 meter cube volume. Okay, so this is done. By this representation you can easily understand and you can easily calculate all the necessary functions through some relations. So these are the summary of the useful relations that can help in this equation is in this question. So pause the video and you can have a look and revise it again and again, because it is examination, it is very important. Not only for this type of question, but some questions are actually dependent on the material's property, and those material property you may need to calculate. This is the second slide for this. You can pause it, you can write it, but you need to remember it. Okay. Now next question, problem number 2. Okay, let us first read the problem. At a given site, soil stratum is consist of a thick clay layer. Clay layer. Okay, so this is like clay layer, some thick. The groundwater is located 2 meter below the ground level. Okay, so this is the ground surface, then this is the below 2 meter there is a water level. Above the groundwater table, the degree of saturation is 90. So SR here is 0.9 or 90%. Okay, if the specific gravity, that means solids, GS is equals to 2.7 is 2.7 and void ratio is 1, that is E equals to 1. Then you have to calculate at what depth below the surface vertical effective stress is 100 kilopascal. Okay, so let's assume there is some point P at the bottom of this soil sample. So we have to calculate the height of this point such a way that the effective pressure is 100 kilopascal. So this is the first to determine, and second is you have to calculate a vertical effective stress at the same point if the water level get down again by 2 meter. Okay, so water table is lowered again by 2 meter, then what will be the effective stress? Okay, so this is a very easy question. First of all, below the water level soil saturation will be 100%, always remember, don't be confused. Below water table soil is actually filled up with the water, so saturation level is 1, and above it can be anything, so here it is given as 0.9. Okay, so okay, these are the given thing, these are to determine. So pathway will be, first you have to determine the soil unit weight, then we will determine the height, and then we will change the water table and find the new effective stress at that particular point P. So theory will say that total stress is the stress carried by soil solids and water filled in the pores. Okay, so these are the intergranular structure of the soil and water are filled with between. So when some stresses or some load is applied, this whole complex geometrical network will carry the load, and this is known as total stress on the soil, and it is equals to the total weight of soil above the level. First, second is the pore water pressure. So it is the pressure in the water in the void. Okay, when you load it, so water will be in some pressure, it will try to expel out. Okay, so it will be measured by piezometer, and under no flow condition it is given by gamma H, gamma WH. Gamma is the unit weight into the height of that water table in which the pore water is there. Okay. So what happens due to this adverse force effect of the pore water, the net stresses will decrease. Okay, so effective stress will be the total stress minus PWP, which is pore water pressure. Okay, so these are the three main concept of the effective stress. Now we are going for our solution. So first we have to calculate our unit weights. Okay, so we have two layer of soil. One is 90% saturated and other is 100% saturated. Other properties will be same, soil is same, clay soil only. So gamma 1 is the gamma for the first layer, and then we will go for the second layer. The equation will be G plus AC divided by 1 plus E gamma W. This is for the first layer we are trying to calculate. We have G as 2.7, S is 0.9 and E as 1. And from here you can get 17.66 kilonewton per meter cube as a unit weight of the soil in the first layer. Okay, now in second layer S is equals to 1. Now it is not 90% because it is below the water table, so S will be 1. Hence G plus E divided by 1 plus E gamma W, which is equals to 2.7 plus 1 divided by 1 plus 1 into 9.81, which is the unit weight of water. This will be equals to 18.15 kilonewton per meter cube. Okay. So we have calculated the unit weight. Next. Okay. So in next slide you can see this is the point P, and above this is the layer of soil which is inputting some total stresses over it. So we have to calculate a total stress. Now we don't know where this point is, so I am assuming, let's say the point is below a water table at a distance of x. Okay, so gamma 1 will be the total stress will be gamma 1 into that thickness of layer plus gamma 2. This is the first layer and this is the second layer. So gamma 1 into thickness of layer plus gamma 2 into thickness of layer, which is x. So I am writing this equation here. So it will be 35.32 plus 18.15 x. Okay, here you see that gamma 1's unit is kilonewton per meter cube, and when we multiply it by the distance meter, then it will be kilonewton per meter square, which is the unit of stress. Now pore water pressure, so it will occur only below the water table. Okay, so when water is filled completely into the pore, that means voids are completely filled with the water, that implies that degree of saturation is 1 and it is below the water table. So here you can find that the pore water pressure will be gamma WH, which is 9.81 into x. So 9.81 x is your pore water pressure for this point. Now effective stress is equals to total minus PWP, but effective stress is already given in the question, which is 100 kilopascal. Kilopascal means kilonewton per meter square. Okay, Pascal means Newton per meter square, then kilopascal will be kilonewton per meter square. So the unit is consistent, we have checked it. This is also kilonewton per meter square. Okay, then writing this equation from the total stress minus pore water pressure. On solving this simple equation, you will find x equals to 7.75 meter. Check for the calculations. Okay. So total height below the ground level, at which point P is lying, having sigma effective to be 100 kilopascal, is 9.75 meter. Okay, so this is the depth of the point below the ground surface. We find the first part of the question. Okay, second is the effective stress due to change in water level. Now I am decreasing this water level to 2 meter more below. Okay, so total soil, what we can say, the total thickness of the first layer is now 4 meter. Okay, new level is here, and the remaining will be saturated. Again same equation, total stress is equals to now gamma 1 into 4, because gamma first layer will be having the thickness of 4 meter, and gamma 2 into 9.75 minus 4, this is the remaining section. Okay, so 9.75 minus 4 will be the remaining thickness of layer 2, and here it is coming 175. Now U will be gamma WH, gamma W is 9.81, and 9.75 minus 4 again, because it is the thickness of the second layer, coming out of like 56.41. Sigma effective is now 175 minus 156.41, and it is coming 118.59 kilonewton per meter square. You see, lowering the water table, from here you can take this judgment into your mind that lowering the water table increases the effective stress. Okay, because before that it was 100, now it is 118. So lowering the water table will increase the effective stress, and effective stress is actually taken by the soil grains, so it may result in crushing of the soil grains. So lowering of water table always reduces the effective stress, increase the effective stress, sorry. Now Now we are coming for our problem number 3. Okay, so compression curve for the certain clay is a straight line on semi-logarithmic plot where E is given this value for this effective vertical stress, and E, that is void ratio, is given this value for this particular stress. Now write down the generalized equation for delta E, change in void ratio, and determine the change in void ratio if 100 stress or the pressure on the soil increases from 100 kilopascal to 400 kilopascal. If we just see this question, then we are confused, like what is it? Some semi-logarithmic plot. Okay, so this is the portion from consolidation of soil. Okay, and you may have seen these equations also. So let us discuss. First, compressive stress curve is straight. Okay, so here is E, void ratio, here is sigma bar, but it is on semi-log, means one scale is of log, okay, and one is general, normal, जिसको हम बोल सकते हैं normal. No. And these two levels of void ratio and stresses are given. So I have drawn one straight line, yes. Then the plot is semi-logarithmic, yes. Then I have some value related to this pressures, yes. Okay. Now, by what we have to do? We have to determine a generalized equation and change in void ratio. Okay, let us see. Now, slope of curve between void ratio and effective stress on log scale is actually compression index. So in consolidation there is a topic known as compression index, which is the slope of this line. And what we can say about the slope is that it can be written like the, for a straight line it can be written like this: m is equals to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So here y2 will be E. Okay, so change in void ratio will be your y2 minus y1, and change in stress will be x2 minus x1. Now it is on the log scale, that's why we are taking log 10 of this value, and you have seen that log of m minus log of n will be log of m divided by n. So from that this equation can be generated very easily. There is nothing to mugging up. You can just understand why this equation is here. It is just the slope of the straight line of this curve. Okay, we have the value now. We have initial void minus final void divided by log 10 of stress ratio, and we are getting compression index will be 0.353. Generalized equation. Now we have the CC. So in terms of delta E, the equation will be delta E equals to CC log 10 sigma 2 minus sigma 1. So we have CC about 0.353. So this will be the generalized equation. If we input the stresses ratio or stress value here, we can find how much change will be occurring in the void ratio. Okay, so this is the generalized equation. I have void ratio variation from 100 kilopascal to 400 kilopascal. Same, check the unit. It is the ratio, unit will be cancelled, but if it is written here as megapascal or something else, you have to check. Though both stresses should have same units. Now 400 divided by 100, and I am taking log 10. So in calculator, this log value, this here, this log is for log 10 and ln is for log base e. So log base 10, you have to use log tab on your calculator. So change in void ratio is equals to 0.353 log 10 400 by 100. Simple calculation, we are getting change is equals to 0.212. Okay. So why actually we are interested in calculating the void ratio apart from the question? Because if you know the initial and you know the change in void ratio after applying of the pressure, then you can find how much volume is changed and volume is actually proportional to the change in thickness, because in area direction there will be no compression, but whatever change in volume occur is actually due to the settlement of the thickness of layers. Okay, so from this you can find change in the thickness or the settlement that a building may occur due to consolidation. So that's why we try to find this change in E. So change in E is directly related to change in height, and which is related to settlement of building, and settlement of building may cause extra moment on the joints, and it may cause instability in your structure. That's why this whole process is decided, or it is required. Problem number 4. Dry sand specimen means cohesion is 0. Okay. Put through drain triaxial test. Okay. And cell pressure is 100 kilopascal. Sample failed at deviator stress at 350 kilopascal. You have to find phi and also determine the cell pressure. If the cell pressure applied 200 kilopascal, then what will be the deviator stress at the failure? Okay. So this is the setup for triaxial test. So what we do, we input this soil sample in this wax form, and we apply cell pressure. The cell pressure is applied overall of the sample. Okay, laterally also, longitudinally also, and it is applied through the water. So this is the cell pressure, which is constantly kept at 100 kilopascal. Now load is applied through loading pattern, and this load is applied here. This is known as deviator, and the reaction will generate here like this. This is known as deviator pressure, and deviator pressure at the failure of the soil sample is 350 kilopascal. Okay. Now what we have to see, we have to find phi. First of all, you see there are the tubes here. These are the tubes of water to go outside. Now in the question it is written as it is a drain test. Means you are not measuring the pore water pressure. You are just squeezing the soil sample such a way that any water is actually squeezed out of your sample. So there will be no pore water pressure. So there will be no effective stress concept, only total stresses are required. Okay, if the pore water pressure is measured, then it will be known as undrained, and pore water pressure measurement will change your effective stress. Okay, so this is the main equation for this question. Mohr's column failure criteria written like this: effective stress in principal plane 1, measure principal plane, equals to principal stress in minor, then tan square 45 degree plus phi effective divided by 2. This is the angle of internal friction, plus 2c tan 45 degree plus tan phi by 2. Phi by 2. Now c is 0, so this whole term will be gone, and as it is a drained triaxial test, sigma 1 bar or effective will be written as only sigma 1, because it is total stress only, no pore water pressure. Okay, we are actually draining all the water, so there is no concept of pore water pressure developing inside the pores. Okay, so sigma 1 principal stress in triaxial test can be find out like this. Sigma 1 is actually summation of cell pressure plus deviator stress. We have cell pressure about 100, deviator stress about 350, so 450 kilopascal is our major principal stress, and second sigma 3 will be only depending on the cell pressure, which is equals to 100 kilopascal. Now inputting this into this equation, 450 is equals to 100 tan square 45 degree plus 5 by 2. Now c is 0, that's why this term we are neglecting, and just inputting this values here and finding the phi, which is equals to 39.52 degree. Okay, it is the very easy question, and it may come in objectives also. The point is you have to understand is the concept. If it is drained, then you have to use total stress. If it is undrained, then in the question pore water pressure will also be given. Then we have to find out the effective stress by our old general formula, that sigma effective is equals to sigma minus u. So value of u will be given. Okay. So from this equation you can easily find out 5 value. Okay, again back to the equation. Now we know the phi and this term is neglected. Now the new sigma 1 will be, okay. So what we have done, we increase the cell pressure to 200. Then deviated stress for the failure need to be calculated. So 200 plus deviated stress is equals to 210 square, 45 degree plus 39.52 degree divided by 2. So now your PD is coming around 699.95 or 700 kilopascal. Okay, isn't it easy? So these questions are actually very easy but very conceptual. And if you learn these formulas, then you can eventually get 1 marks, 2 marks from objective, and if the questions coming in the subjective similar question, then you may get 15-20 marks. So this is very important to go through these old problems, because old problems can clear most of the concept. So this is all about today's lecture. Thank you for attending. Please subscribe, please like and share. And also that two more questions from 2019 are remaining. So I will cover it in the next video. So it will be uploaded soon. Thank you for watching.